Dane and Jeff's Media Dump is recorded under the influence of alcohol in front of a live studio audience.
You know how sometimes you just do like dumb, mean shit for your own amusement?
Oh,
Because
absolutely.
you feel like an asshole when you're bored.
Absolutely.
Or they do something to piss you off, so you do something funny.
Oh, sure.
So, like, yeah, I've been door dashing here lately, and the college kids are back in town. And I picked up this order, and I knew it was a fucking college kid, because it was at this place called Palmberry, where they do the fucking mixed fruity drink shit. And she had me driving 5 miles for $4 for a drink. And when I picked the drink up, they just handed me the cup with the little sticker over the top of it. They didn't hand me a straw, and I didn't think nothing of it. And I sit down in the car, and I'm like, shit, they didn't give me a straw. Oh, well, fuck them. I don't care. And my wife gives me this brilliant idea. She's like, you know, you got that pair of chopsticks right there. And with our windows down, I just start busting out fucking laughing. All these college kids are walking up and down the street staring at me like I'm a lunatic, which I am. So I drive the 5 miles up there, and I take the cup without the straw, and I set it down on this chick's porch, and I take the picture of it to confirm it for DoorDash. And then after I've taken the picture of it, I lay the chopsticks down and I fucking leave. And I just hope she thinks that she's got a really fucking weird neighbor that ditched a pair of chopsticks on top of her drink and stole her straw, and she has no fucking idea what's going on. And my wife thought I was full of shit. She's like, no, where are the chopsticks? You didn't do that shit. You did not actually leave the chopsticks. Where'd you actually stick them? I said I left them on their cup.
Oh, shit. Oh, my.
Which I guess brings us to the important part of the show. Greetings, denizens of the Webbernet. Welcome to Dane and Jeff's Media Dump. I'm your host, Mr. L. Dane Puzzles Esquire, Mr. Puzzles for short, Dane for shorter, and with me, till the death do us part, hopefully because I named the fucking show after him, the minor league grump himself, Grumpy Jeff. Jeff, how you doing tonight, man?
Dane, my good man, how are you doing this evening?
Oh, up to mischief, half drunk. We've been fighting with technical issues for the last 20 minutes. Y'all got to skip that part. We had the fun part where Discord decided to shit itself on Jeff.
Yeah, I have no idea what the hell was going on. My Discord was really just shitting on me. I mean, I finally got to work, but I have no idea what the hell I did and why it changed. But here we are. We're ready to maybe somewhat amuse you.
I mean, we're only a month late from our original recording date. I mean, what else could go wrong?
Well, actually, this is, luckily, one of those times was my fault, one of those times was your fault, so it evens itself out.
Turnabout is fair play.
So how's your day today, my good man, apart from your rapscallion adventures with a pair of chopsticks?
Just a normal day, man. Riding around Boone. The kids stayed with their grandma today. Only other things that have been going on around here are depressing as hell, so I ain't going to talk about the bad news. Not personal bad news, for the record. Things are going pretty good for me, but still trying to beat Elden Ring.
I've never played that game because I know for a fact that is not my play style, just because I'm terrible at those kinds of games.
I love them. I know that Dalton was posting it's either today or yesterday about some new Souls. It looks cool as hell. I can't remember. I remember when I read the name of it, I might have been drunk, but it looked like word soup. And I couldn't read it. I had to read it like 3 different times, but it looks like a cool game, huh?
Hold on. Is that the one I saw? Is that supposed to be a Souls game? What?
Yeah, he said it's kind of like a Souls-like, but it's not as intense.
Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Black Myth Wukong.
So that is the game that I on Game Buds. Someone mentioned it. Yeah, Black Myth Wukong. I didn't realize I was
it looks interesting. I want to check it out.
Yeah, but those kinds of games. I mean, Hades I absolutely love, but I can only play that God mode. That's just the kind of player that I am.
So I know this isn't Elden Ring cast, but I've been sunk in it for a month and a half. So if you're listening to this, you've got to deal with the shit. As the Soul games went along, and I don't think we actually talked about this on the TSMP episode, they get progressively faster paced, but only for the bosses. So if you go back and play Demon Souls or Dark Souls, it's actually really slow paced. It's all built around shielding and turtling the attacks and waiting for a chance to knock the piss out of somebody. They're actually easier for the pace of combat. They're just more punishing on how many actions you take per minute.
I'll just stick to my slow calculating games and simulators. I mean, even before starting, I was playing some Snow Runner, which is just your typical truck driving simulator. It's fun, but if you don't have patience for it, you'll get pissed off. And if this was a physical media, you would throw it out the window or break it in half.
Burn it to a disk so that you can destroy it.
Exactly.
Well, I guess most computers don't even have fucking disk drives nowadays. Shit.
Yep, mine doesn't. If I want to play an actual physical media, I have to buy a disk drive for it.
Dude, I'm so just neckbeardy and old school with shit. I intentionally spent double on an old ass computer case so I could have room for extra hard drives and still have optical media and room enough for the 2 fucking graphics cards I've crammed in this thing for no reason other than I'm a nerd.
Well, my computer, I have not changed it at all since the day I pulled it out of the box. And there are times when it's just like, what? Already the storage is full? The hell is kind of games am I playing? Or how small is my hard drive on this thing? All I know is luckily I have a few professionals in our community that can help me advance or upgrade my computer if I desire.
Out of curiosity, is yours like a custom built you bought from somewhere, which I think is what Dalton's new one is, or did you buy like a run-of-the-mill big box store?
Run-of-the-mill big bucks out of it's a store that I don't think exists anymore. It's called Micro Center. Do you have one of those by you?
I've heard the name of one. I've never actually seen one in the wild.
I bought my computer maybe it's got to be getting close to 5 years at this point, and I haven't changed it at all. I mean, it was a good sale for it, but now here I am. All these people are just like, oh man, I've gotten these great graphics cards and GPUs, and I'm just like, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. You're just speaking letters and numbers right now.
Well, say my computer is the ship of Theseus. Are you familiar with the story of the ship of Theseus?
I am not. No.
The whole premise of the ship of Theseus is that over years, they repair the ship and replace things that break on it until after so many repairs and replacements, none of the original parts are left. So is it still the ship of Theseus?
All right.
That was kind of the philosophical question of it. When I was in college, I had a scholarship thing from doing culinary club stuff, and one of the choices that we had on what to spend the money on was you can get a laptop, a $1,000 scholarship to go towards something further in your education, or subsidize a trip to France. And I said, hey, I don't want a laptop. Can I just have the money and buy the parts and build a computer? And the chef said, I'll tell you what, I'll give you an extra $200. So I took the $1,200 and built my first computer with that. And I've just been swapping parts off the same shit, moving it to a different case year by year as I upgrade. So I've had just this constant string of computer that dates back to that.
Well,
I still have the original monitor and the original speakers from that setup. Everything else is different.
Well, a lot of my computers in the past, one of them I loved for it was a Windows Vista, like Dell. Yes, I know Vista has a bad rap at the time and probably even now, but it worked fine. I was able to play my games on it. It was great. But then all of a sudden, just one day, it caught a virus or something, and it just completely dumped the hard drive. It no longer. So all my, I was playing Diablo 2 at the time. My Necromancer was deleted because I didn't have a battle net. It was the only way I would be able to play LAN LAN network with my brothers. So that necromancer was gone. I was currently doing a run through of Roller Coaster Tycoon. That was lost. Just everything was gone. So, and that sucked. So I ended up buying a new computer, which was one of those everything inside the monitor. That thing was a hunk of shit.
Pieces of shit.
It was a piece of shit the moment I pulled it out of the box. It took 10 minutes for me to look at emails. So for like 5 to 10 years, I was completely off of PC, and I was just a strict console gamer. And even to this day, with this new computer, I still tend to fade towards consoles just for that reason.
So I was always a big console guy, and after that first computer I built, I don't think I bought another console except the PS3 just because I wanted to hack it 10 years after it was relevant and get all the games for free.
No, that's a lot of what a lot of people do. I am not that tech savvy, so everyone's talking about, oh, I jailbroke my Switch or, PS3 or whatever. I don't even try to do that, or I don't even ask for help to do that because I am that terrible with technology.
Dude, a year from now I'm going to be having you doing this shit like it's nothing.
We'll see.
Just to prove you can.
Well, all right. Well, right now we'll wait until I move into a house because I lost my office when I sold my home to move in with my wife, and it's the only thing I have with me now is I have a corner dedicated to myself, which is where my computer is, and then on the big screen TV is where I have my Switch and the PS5. And right now, I don't need anything more.
Hey, as long as you got a little bit of space for yourself.
Oh, I do. I even bought myself a special chair, even though it's one of those things like, do I really want to spend money on this? And my wife is actually pushing me, like, you need a nice chair, go buy it. Or even, I was like, I bought a couple years ago, I bought an N64, which is, I guess, maybe brand new out of the box. It was the transparent aqua color. I'm just like, do I really need it? Nice. $200. And she's just like, buy it. What's the point of making money if you're not going to spend it? It's like, okay. So it's nice I have a wife that's like pushes me towards gaming.
Yeah, my wife makes me buy stuff for myself a lot and then won't buy things for herself. And 9 times out of 10, it's shit I don't need, and she's making me buy it.
Well, sure. A lot of things that they don't need, but if it puts a smile on their face or gets them off your back for an hour or two, I'm all for it.
No, she's not getting stuff for herself, and she's making me get shit for myself. It's the exact opposite.
Hey, if she's, why not? I mean, it...
Well, I went on strike. I've told her that you're not allowed to get me another shirt, another pair of shorts, or anything. Go get some stuff for you. So,
oh, she never buys me anything. I mean, even though like we shop on Temu a lot, and there are things that she thinks that I'll like, but it's just a matter of okay. It might say it. My size for everything is weird, so it's like I wear an extra large, but if it's coming from a website, you can't really tell for sure if that's accurate or not. So it's usually a lot of my shopping is in stores.
I wasted a lot of money on Temu when it first popped up. The best thing I got a hoodie. It's a rainbow hoodie that says "I am Ken Nuff" from the Barbie movie.
Well, what the hell is going on with computers?
Oh man. So we completely lost our train of thought because this time I crashed and had the computer issues. So apparently we're either too awesome at this or we're too shitty at this. But it's episode 1, so we're allowed mulligans, right, Jeff?
Absolutely. I think we're allowed 3 mulligans.
So whatever we were talking about before, that discussion's done. So did you want to talk about how we wound up here real quick before we actually start talking about the topic of the day? Or do we want to just go straight to the topic of the day, man?
No, let's, well, do we want to talk about, like, how we became friends and whatnot, or do we just want to, how do you want to go about this? You're the leader of this episode.
Oh, it's a big pair of pants to fill, and I ain't got the balls for it. Well, Well, I mean, I guess this is kind of an episode 0, and let's face it, topic discussion's probably going to be a little bit light on the day anyway, so let's just go ahead and fill it with some bullshit.
Sure, absolutely.
I think the first time I messaged you directly on Discord, you had won Tadpog Trivia. Shout out to Tyler and Dave Play Old Games, The End Silent. Do you remember that?
I'm trying to remember. It was a long time ago, and I have a hard time remembering what happened yesterday.
I think that was the first time I hollered at you. I'd run a series before I was running nonsense quizzes on a semi-regular basis as a guest host on the Steam Machine podcast. Shout out to them. I did a series of show-specific trivia for Tadpog. And I gave away prizes based on a lottery. You got more entries, more questions you got right. And Jeff won one.
Woo!
And I want to say, I think I gave you a copy of One Deck Dungeon. Does that sound familiar? Is that in your Steam library anywhere?
Well, I'm trying to remember. What did I do that I won Duke Nukem 3D?
That was whenever I conned everybody on Discord to vote for Duke Nukem Forever to make them play it on Steam Machine, which was probably my greatest heel move ever.
Oh, that was wonderful.
And I couldn't have done it without Master Loot. He was such a Chad.
No, that was just beautiful. Not advertising. Damn it! What the fuck? What the hell is the word?
Spam.
We could go with spam. You did some. You both did some amazing work.
Oh, that was just so much fun. And the best part was, like, if I had got to pull off what I had planned, I had an entire Duke Nukem creepypasta I was in the process of that was going to end with me possibly committing suicide alone in a closet with the lights turned off, Blair Witch style, like, I'm so scared.
Well,
I had so much nonsense planned for that shit.
well, what was just...
And my wife said, you have to stop. You're in too deep. You have to stop. You've turned the house into a film studio for a shit post, and you're supposed to be doing homeschool for our daughter right now.
Well, what was great about your campaign, that's the word I was thinking of, campaign, Duke Nukem Forever won by a landslide. It won like 10, 15 votes. It was incredible. You and Master Loot did an amazing job.
Oh, that was so much fun. But everyone who voted, regardless of what you voted for in that, was entered in a drawing for a Duke Nukem game. And I said, if Duke Nukem Forever wins, everyone gets Duke 3D that wins from this drawing. If Duke loses, you get Duke Nukem Forever. So that was my extortion to incite people to maybe let me have my way.
Oh, it worked. I don't even think everyone needed the game. It's just you ran such an amazing campaign. All your quick videos and trailers were fantastic.
Calling out people with fucking AI generated audio. I can't believe it got your entire TSMP nickname correct whenever I put that through. That was the most impressive thing to me.
AI's getting smarter. We all need to be scared of it.
Actually, it's getting dumber.
That too.
Have you heard about that?
No, enlighten me.
ChatGPT, the big text bot that everyone's obsessed with, is progressively getting worse and worse and worse because they keep feeding more data from the internet into it that has been AI generated. So it's just turning it into shit.
So what you're saying is we're safe for now. We're not going to have the Terminator in the next week.
The AI might take our jobs, but it's not going to keep them for very long.
I can't do my job. My job requires actual physical work. So I'm safe for now.
Anyway, that massive sidetrack aside, I think we started being friends when I sent you the, hey, you won this. And then we just started BSing. And I think you invited me to Game Buds and talked me into showing up there.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then just showing up to Game Buds every other week, then every week, and then disappearing for a month and coming back. That's how I got to hanging out with Nate and Willie, and I think Dalton showed up sometimes, and all the other guys. And that's how I got roped into the TSMP sphere.
Yeah.
And hanging out with all y'all guys.
No, yeah, we've had some great nights. You were you ever you weren't at the start of Among Us, right? When Game Buds first.
No, Among Us had run its course whenever I showed up. I think we've played it once or twice since I've been hanging out there.
Well, we went weeks just playing Among Us, just straight through. The Game Buds is usually like 2-3 hours, and we would always just play Among Us. But then at one game, maybe about 30 minutes in, we all started yelling at each other. It was that last game where we all almost Game Buds ceased to exist. We were that ready to destroy it, and we were all just like, okay, we need to play something new. And I think we ended up playing golf with you, like golf around or something like that. Something just to get off of Among Us, and that move saved it.
I think when I first started showing up, y'all were in the middle of like a Phasmo kick or Phasmophobia.
Yeah,
and there was a whole lot of Jackbox stuff, and Rift Tracks was my favorite one.
Oh, I loved Rift Tracks. That was a lot of fun. Just watching these terrible clips and seeing what everyone could come up with.
And there's so many damn running gags that's come from that.
Oh, yes. There's
not the goddamn grass clips.
Is corn grass?
No, it's corn. For a little while, it's Lewis. I know anyone who hasn't actually played this game has no context for this shit. Go out and buy Rift Tracks. Sponsor for today's episode.
Exactly. Get in on the fun.
And then I think it was probably about a year ago that I had the idea to start a YouTube channel.
I remember.
For the fourth time in my life.
I remember you wanted to start
and
off.
I hit you up and I'm like, Jeff, would you be interested? And you was like, fuck it, sign me up. And we went through like 3 different ideas of, hey, maybe we could try this, maybe we could try that. And then we ended up just saying, fuck it, let's just do a podcast because that's what middle-aged white guys do nowadays.
Absolutely.
And you said, well, I'm getting married in this many weeks. Let's get me through that and then we'll start the show. And a month ago, we were going to start. And here we are.
We finally made it.
2 total tech failures in for the night, and I've got a week to piece this shit together. So,
hell yeah! Luckily, we have we gave you. It was perfect planning. You see, we were thinking ahead.
Plan to fail, and then fail upwards.
Absolutely,
that's the quote, right?
Absolutely, and we'll continue to do that because that's just the kind of people we are. Makes it more authentic.
And I guess what's that?
It makes it more authentic.
Yeah, more authentic. Our scattered bullshit and tech failures and putting it all together in the wash.
Well, luckily we have one tech expert and one tech idiot.
Dude, secret time with Linux. I just fake it until I figure it out.
By the way, Dane is a strong lover of Linux.
Yeah, and that will get mentioned ad nauseum if for no other reason than to piss off Nate.
I don't know why I can't think of any words tonight. You're a strong defender. Why can't I think of any words? What the hell is wrong with my vocabulary?
I would help you out, but as usual, I am slightly drunk.
Well, I have to wake up early tomorrow, so I'm just drinking some water.
I probably should be waking up early. But anyway, as we said, this is kind of an episode 0, so I guess we should probably share what the actual plan for the format of the show is going to be, because it's Dane and Jeff's media dump. So we're not tied to any one particular thing. The idea is hopefully we're going to be covering sometimes a movie every week, sometimes a TV show, sometimes a video game. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll twist Jeff's arm and make him read a book.
Or I'll twist your arm and make you watch a TV show that is related to a book or a porno. Who knows? I don't think anything like that exists.
You never really know.
You never know, but I think we are going to try to keep this as, yes, we're going to be swearing because that's just what the kind of people we are, but we will try to keep this as kid friendly as possible. I mean, there's obviously we're going to have some slip ups, but we're definitely try to keep it friendly so everyone can listen.
If your mom walks into you and hears you listening to our show, you're probably not going to be too embarrassed. Probably.
Probably.
She might be like, what is wrong with those guys? But she's not going to be like, what's wrong with you because of us?
Well, luckily my parents have known that I've been strange for many years, so this is nothing unheard of for them.
My mom does not know I'm doing a podcast.
Mine either, and I'm going to keep it that way.
Damn right. That's why my last name is not attached to this. It's not a secret, but it's not attached.
And that's why my last name is Mr. Grumpy.
Jeff, Mr. Grumpy.
Mr. Grumpy syllables, actually.
Mr. Grumpy syllables. All right, fair enough. We'll get there.
At one point,
But yeah, go for it, dude.
No, I was just going to say, at one point, Dalton gave me like 5 different last names or nicknames. It's just like, I can't even remember them anymore. I just remember Mr. Grumpy syllables.
I remember the original Expendable was in there.
Yes, that's it. That's how it all...
Old Jeffy Lube.
Oh, now I remember why I was Old Expendable, because when we were doing Phasmophobia for an episode of the Steam Machine podcast, I would always just go running in, Leroy Jenkins, try to attract the ghosts to try to get everyone the most information as possible, and next thing you know, you would hear me screaming in the background because I was getting killed.
Now that Dalton has VR, we all need to get together and do Phasmo.
Oh, I think that would be a blast. I don't think I could do VR just because I get motion sickness. If I were to do that, I would have to take like Dramamine or something.
The things that helped me the most to get past that was setting up a little fan to blow on me while I was doing it, because that always gives you a point of reference for reality.
I mean, I could definitely...
For some reason, that just in and of itself did it for me.
I mean, I could definitely try something like that, but at the same time, if it doesn't work, how much is VR these days? Like a few $100s?
I think you can get an Oculus for about $300.
Yeah, I don't want...
If you're doing it new.
I don't want to waste $300 if I try everything I can to help with my motion sickness, and it's not going to do anything, and I'm still going to get extremely lightheaded.
What you do is you have a brother who's an early adopter on tech and upgrades and gives you his old shit. Because that worked for me.
Or I could just have someone donate money to me and I'll go and buy one. Don't do that.
Well, they would have to go through a lot of hoops. We ain't got a Patreon yet.
I think we'll be fine for now. We'll wait until we get a fan base. All 2 of you.
Or at least 6 months under our belt.
There you go.
If we can prove that we can do this for 6 months, then maybe we'll start begging for money.
There you go. I like it. It's a good, solid plan. But no, my sickness is... So I remember one company Christmas party, we went to Dave & Buster's, and they have one of those rooms that you actually sit in, and you don't move. It is a stationary chair. It's just the computer screens or TV screens around you that's showing a sense of motion. And it threw me off almost immediately. Even though...
Try ginger.
I drank ginger.
Like, that was the one that, I don't know if you remember, it was an old episode of Mythbusters. Adam Savage is horrendously susceptible to seasickness. Mm-hmm. Like, just a little bit of motion... and he's down for the count. Ginger pills, he was fine.
Well, when I went on a cruise a couple years ago, I had a Dramamine patch. I just stuck it right behind my ear, and even though I was still able to feel the ship move, and these cruise ships are huge. They're like a 1/4 mile long by like 200 feet wide. So these things are not small, and they have a bunch of stabilizers to try to keep the ship as level as possible. Even though I was still able to feel the ship move ever so slightly, I was perfectly fine with the patch. So maybe it's just one of those things of I need to start wearing it if I want to do VR.
That might do it for you. There's only a couple of games that have ever actually really affected me as far as motion sickness goes. Usually, I'm pretty good about that stuff. I've only actually got seasick once, and that was on a ferry in really, really choppy water going out to the Outer Banks. But a couple of games, like any game where you can like hold a direction on the stick and make the character move, but you're standing still, those are the ones that throw me a little bit.
Well,
It's like Boneworks and Half-Life Alyx, I think, do that.
well, I would definitely love to do VR in No Man's Sky, but I know for a fact that the way the game plays, I would be on my ass in probably in under 5 seconds.
Yeah, I'd say if you know anybody locally that has a set that they let you play with, and then try the Dramamine patch with that, that'd probably be your best bet. But I know not a whole lot of people have that stuff, man.
I don't know anyone that has a VR headset, so I guess I'm a little shit out of luck right now.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's fun tech. Honestly, it's not like, I don't think it's going to take off anytime soon until they can figure out a way to make it smaller. Which I know the Oculus stuff is pretty lightweight and handy, but it is cool. But there's not that many games out there to make it worth the investment to get the good headsets.
Sure. Yeah, if I were to get like an Oculus or something, the only game I would probably want to play it with is Phasmophobia, because I don't know if any those normal, or I mean, yes, you have the PlayStation headsets, but I don't know of anything like an Oculus or is a Meta 3. Who makes that one?
Meta is the new Oculus, so it's all the same stuff, like, because Facebook bought out Oculus and changed the name to Meta and then changed the Oculus's names and all that stuff.
You see,
So it's the same line, it's just different generations.
this is how out of touch with tech I am.
So I've never messed with the Oculus. Mine is a HTC Vive, and my brother has the Valve Index set and wound up with an extra set of Index controllers, so he just gave those to me.
Well,
And that's the ones that have like individual finger sensing instead of just all buttons.
Well, I guess my point is, if I were to buy like a Meta 3 or whatever, I don't know if it works with the PlayStation. I mean, I'm sure it can.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. So, and No Man's Sky is on my PlayStation, so I would use it strictly for Phasmophobia.
I think the MetaQuest stuff works with their own store, and you can make it work with Steam games. The Steam set just works with any generic VR stuff that you can run through it. I think the new edition of the PS2 VR is PC compatible, but I'm not going to swear to it. I don't know, man.
I don't know. It's a risk. I don't want to buy something and realize, even with the Dramamine patch, I still get sick, and it'll just be sitting there collecting dust. Oh well.
Man, we've been bullshitting for a while. I think we need to figure out a segue. So what the hell are we going to talk about today?
Well, let's see. I suppose what we can do is crawl out of this bullshit and go crawl out into the fallout.
Yeah, you're better at this segue shit than me, man.
And
by calling it out, I just ruined it retrospectively.
that just came off the dome, and I guarantee you won't get something like that next episode.
Well, hopefully we'll have our shit together more next episode, and it'll be less meandering discussion, more focused bullshit.
Oh, I'm sure. But as we mentioned, we are actually going to be talking about the Fallout TV show, and I suppose what makes it fair is, how about we talk about our quick history with the series? So, Dane, what is your history with the Fallout?
My history with the Fallout, I'm a huge fan of Fallout 1. I've played a little bit of Fallout 2. I haven't beat it yet. But ever since Bethesda got a hold of it, as much as I love the setting, dude, I love the setting, I love the aesthetics, I don't like Bethesda open worlds.
It's not for everyone, I get it.
And I really want to like it, man. I want to love those games so much, but I love the setting in the world, and the old, just classic point-and-click CRPG style of the old Fallouts is amazing. And I've been told Fallout New Vegas captures some of the more of that sort of feel as far as like the way they handle the story and the actual role play portion. Maybe we'll get into that for an episode one day.
All right.
But I haven't tried New Vegas yet. But I think I've played Fallout 4 the most because I played it in VR, and that helped. Like actually being able to feel like I'm looking around. Where's Fallout 4 set? Which waste is it?
It's the Boston Commonwealth.
Boston Commonwealth. Being able to just kind of explore around in that some in VR held my attention longer. And being able to see my hand with the Pip-Boy attached to it and actually punching rad roaches actively instead of pointing and clicking on them. And I think I got about 3 hours in it.
What
Beyond the initial, like, just tutorial, get out of the vault portion, I think I probably played it for about 3 hours after that.
So what is your... do you like first-person shooters, or is that a genre you're not...
Oh, no, I love first-person shooters. I'm a big boomer shooter guy, just like Willie. But, yeah, it's just something about exploring a Bethesda-style open world. I get really bored really quick with them.
Because I have never played any of the original games. I actually started with Fallout 3, and I immediately fell in love with that game and the series. So when I went to GameStop and saw, New Vegas Ultimate Edition, I'll buy that. Because, I loved 3, and I have a certain hatred for New Vegas. And it's not anything about the gameplay. It is strictly the performance. I played it on PS3, and I could not go more than 1 hour before the frame rate would just crash. It would go from a solid, what is that, 30 frames per second, with those first Fallout games, to 5. Like 5 frames a second. It was horrible. Actually, it might have been even worse than that. And
that is so weird.
And it happened every playthrough. Every time it hit 1 hour. I don't know why, but the frame rate would just tank, and it tanked hard.
Were you playing it at release, or was this like...
No, this was... New Vegas was definitely the last game I played on a PS3 before I bought my PS4. So that was 2006. I was playing New Vegas. 2015, 2016, I was playing New Vegas.
Huh. That's so weird. I didn't know it had that kind of performance issues on console.
Well,
so I've never played a Fallout game on anything but PC.
It was definitely... I don't know if it was... Well, no, because even when I played my brother's version of New Vegas on his 360, it would do the same exact thing. Maybe it would last a little bit longer, but the results were still the same. The frame rate would just tank. So I have a certain hatred for New Vegas, but it's strictly just for performance. It's not the game itself.
Well, I mean, when you look at how little time they actually had to put that stuff together, it's a little bit easier to be forgiving of performance issues and shit like that. But yeah, it is rough if you're locked in on a console and you don't have the option of having a PC upgrade and then making it run better.
Yeah. Well, Dalton actually did buy me New Vegas for PC, and he told me when I was ready to play it, he would tell me what mods to download so I can get the game running smoothly. So when I finally play that, I know my opinion will change. But right now, it's not. As of right now, my opinion of New Vegas is not good.
Yeah, honestly, I don't blame you for that, leaving a bad taste in your mouth.
But eventually, I did get into Fallout 4, and that's actually one of my favorite games. It's obviously my favorite game in the series. I don't know. A lot of people hate it because it focuses more on, I guess, the action part of it, and not so much the RPG gameplay that Fallout was always known for since the beginning. So I don't think there's any karma or anything like that. So I mean, I get why people might not like it, but I fell in love with the game. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, I know they did a lot of streamlining with both Fallout 4 and with Skyrim for their settings, trying to make them more broad appeal. And I think they kind of lost a little bit of something, because I know a bunch of people didn't like the voiced protagonist for Fallout 4. The enhanced attention to the gunplay aspects of it and things like that. And the stuff I really liked on the original Fallout was being able to have some optimal stats in certain areas and having more fun. Like, having a character who's just too dumb and you get to stumble through and get unique responses you can give because you're stupid. Being able to defeat the final boss without actually drawing your gun, being able to talk your way out of it. Stuff like that were the things that I really enjoy about the original Fallout.
It makes sense. It definitely, all the Fallout games after post 3, like when Bethesda and Obsidian did their versions, they did focus more on the action gunplay. I mean, yes, you still do the melee and unarmed aspect of it, but it focuses more on the action, and a lot of the scenarios is you have to fight your way to solve the final problem. I don't think any of the games, I mean, New Vegas definitely gives you the most options, but when it's all said and done, the final thing you do is you got to fight your way out of saving the day.
I mean, that kind of covers our history on it, but I got a question for you now. When they first announced the Fallout TV series, what were you expecting? Were you expecting a shit show, or were you actually expecting it to be good?
Well, let me coincide it when I first heard about the Borderlands movie, because I was more nervous with Borderlands becoming a movie than I was with Fallout becoming a TV show, because I think that is the major difference between something being good and something being how to explain it. You see the results of what's going on right now. Borderlands is getting destroyed on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, I think it has like a 5% right now. It's terrible. People hate it. And the TV show, I think because the development for it was more they really knew what they wanted the show to be, because even the thing with Fallout is, yes, it's a post-apocalyptic world. Each game takes place at a specific time after when the bombs drop and a different part of the country. So you have hundreds, thousands of different stories that's happening during the events of Fallout 1. Where does that game take place? Do you recall?
That one is near... it's out in California. I think it's near the beginnings of NCR, like Shady Pines. Or Shady Sands. So
you have this event going on in the first Fallout game in California. What's going on in Washington, D.C. at that same exact moment? We don't know. It's never discussed. Even Fallout 3, which does take place in D.C., I think takes place 15 years after the events of Fallout 1. So it's like the story is so open-ended that you can do whatever you want as long as it kind of ties with the lore of Fallout, and it works. And I think that's what makes the show great, because they put a lot of thought and care into it. They know, okay, we can't have it merge with any of these other stories. Let's have it take place in California, but it's I think like 8 years after the events of Fallout 4, so it's even more into the future. So you have so much. It's so open, the story, that it's very forgivable.
They do have a lot to work with, and I said earlier that I just really love the aesthetic of the world. They have a lot of things to work with. When I first heard it was announced, I was like, great, another new Fallout thing I'm going to hate. I really did. I had zero expectations for this show. I really thought it was just going to tank. And then, oddly enough, the thing that gave me a little bit of hope was I broke down and I watched The Last of Us after it had finished its run. I did the free trial on Max and checked that out. I think that's what it was on Max. And which The Last of Us was trying to be that really cinematic storyline. So they pretty much had a movie. All they had to do was cut the gameplay out and put it on film. But they executed it well. And I know that was on Max and not on Prime Video, which being a Prime original and just being another thing from Fallout that had Bethesda's hand in it, I really didn't have high hopes for it. I thought it was going to suck. But watching Last of Us made me go, okay, they got that right. Maybe they can do Fallout. So I started to have a little bit of hope. And then the first trailer came out. And I got to look at some of the stuff. And I'm like, okay, maybe this will be good. Or at least okay. If it had been okay, I would have been satisfied with okay. But I had one stipulation. Do you know what the stipulation for this being good thing was on episode 1? You want to know what that stipulation I set was?
Tell me.
If the first words of the first episode is not Ron Perlman going, war never changes, I'm turning the shit off.
I mean, fair enough.
That's what I said. The problem was I talked my wife into watching it with me.
Mm-hmm.
And we turned it on, and it opens up before the bombs drop at a birthday party. And my wife's like, I thought you said this was a post-apocalypse thing. Why is it set in the 70s? I said, just watch. I didn't hear Ron Perlman. I'm like, okay, well, the bombs haven't dropped yet. Maybe he's coming. I hadn't give up hope yet. And, for the record, we're not going to do a story recap. We assume that if you're listening to this, you've watched it. So I just want to get that. So there will be random spoilers, and we're not going to be in order. We're just talking about our thoughts here. Mm-hmm. The bombs drop. They all run out. I'm like, okay, it's going to shoot into the future. And it says 217 years in the future. Here he's coming. It's going to be Ron. And Lucy starts narrating shit. And I'm like, they're not going to give me Ron Perlman. I intentionally didn't check the casting because I'm like, if they're smart, they won't list him. But if I look and I don't see him, I'm going to know he's not here. I wanted that so bad. And I think that's probably the thing that upset me the most when I turned on Fallout 4 and I didn't get Ron Perlman's intro. Mm-hmm. I knew, okay, something's going to be different. But the thing that they did, and Tim Kaine, the original creator of Fallout, mm-hmm. He does like blogs talking about working in the gaming industry and the things that he's done in the past. I don't know if you ever watched his YouTube channel or not.
I haven't, no.
It's worth checking out. But he actually talked about watching the Fallout show and the things that he thought they did good. But he pointed this out, and it made me forgive them not using Ron Perlman. He said, the first episode of Fallout gives you all the exposition you need to understand this universe without any voiceover narrations. Did you realize that?
I mean, it definitely makes sense. I haven't watched the show since it first came out, but I remember definitely it seems like everything they're trying to make everything spell everything out for all the new watchers. But every person that's familiar with the series understands it's like, oh, okay, I get that. So,
but I was really impressed because my dad even watched the show. Mm-hmm. My dad fucking hates anything video game related. He watched Fallout. He said he watched the first episode and he's like, I don't know, because most of episode 1 is kind of setting the stage. And he said just because I recommended it to him, he watched the second episode. And that's when you start getting into the storyline of Maximus. And then after Maximus, you get the ghoul. Once my dad saw the ghoul, that was when he was sold. And I think out of the 3 characters, I want to do another quick question sidetrack. So you've got like 3 archetypes. You got Lucy out of the vaults. You've got Maximus, who's experiencing the wasteland, part of the Brotherhood of Steel. Mm-hmm. And you have the ghoul as your 3 protagonists. Very subjective question, but there is an objective answer. Who is your favorite, Jeff?
I mean, that is a tough question because all their stories and their arcs merge perfectly. But if I were to give a favorite, probably because of his history of how it leads into the Fallout world, I have to give it to the ghoul.
Absolutely. All right, You passed the test. That is the correct answer.
Well, because the ghoul, whose name is Cooper Howard, is played by Walton Goggins. And that man is an amazing actor. And he just merged with that character so well. It was just perfect. It was written for him.
He really did amazing a job. And I know a bunch of people kind of took him to task for the design for the ghoul because, you look at ghouls in old Fallout games and they're basically just rotting corpses. You can see bone and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. And like, he's obviously radiation scarred. He doesn't have a nose, but he's not a hideous thing to look at.
No.
The ghoul does not fall into the uncanny valley, which to me of itself was impressive. That they were able to make him look visibly like obviously a ghoul, but without making him unpleasant to look at. He is a lead, you don't want him to be painful to look. But a bunch of people got upset about that. Neckbeards and grognards sitting in their basement and got nothing to do but complain on the internet. Mm-hmm. The thing that I liked about the ghoul, if you really look at the way each of their character arts go, I think you can actually draw a correlation between the way people play the games.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
So Lucy is like your classic lawful good. I'm going to go through, I'm going to do all the nice things and be nice to all the people in NPCs player. Maximus is the, all right, I've been through this a little bit. Push comes to shove, I'll do the heroic thing, but you know what? I'm probably going to cheat a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then you have the ghoul, who is your classic murder hobo and is obviously using bats.
Absolutely. He's also taken drugs as well, because actually his these drugs is how it keeps him from going feral.
I still don't know how I feel about that, because that's never been part of the lore, and I know that anything they do, because they said this show is canon to the same world the games are set in. Mm-hmm. I know anything they do with it makes it canon, even if it's a retcon, and I know that they were retconning by the time that they were just making Fallout 2. I don't know how I feel about a drug to keep you from going feral any more than I know how to feel about that one instance where there was a drug that turned somebody into a ghoul. I remember the little dude that was hanging out with Maximus.
Yes.
That used to bully him, and then Maximus took him on as a squire when he stole the armor.
Yes.
He got ghoulified, and I'm sure he's going to come back up in season 2.
I'm trying to think in the lore of Fallout if that is what happens. I'm pretty sure there is. I think there's an explanation. I don't have it on me. I would have to do some research. But you said it's a little bit of an issue. For me, I'm fine with it, because it's just one of those things of, if it's not explained and this is your version of it, of your explanation, I'm fine with it. It makes sense. I mean, I know in the game, like Psycho, the Jet, those kinds of drugs have a specific purpose in terms of gameplay wise, but in terms of lore, what does it do? It's just an addictive drug. We don't. Do we really know what they do and how it affects like certain people? So I don't know. That's for me. I think I'm fine with it.
And maybe it'll end up being the sort of thing that maybe the drug has absolutely nothing to do with keeping them from going feral. It's just something to get ghouls addicted to try and keep them under your thumb, so that you literally what they want them to.
That could be a case.
It could be as simple as that, and they're building up for something long term. Especially if the ghoul himself, Cooper Goggins, does all the drugs.
Mm-hmm. Well, in the show we see him. I think he just takes a whole bunch of jet. That iconic syringe that you see in the. So I'm sure that might be something to do with it, or he's just a severe drug addict to try to hide his history, because
and plus, like 200 years of probably thinking he could have done something to stop the bombs.
Yeah. Let me ask you a quick question. This is because you said one of your stipulations at first was you wanted to hear Ron Perlman say war never changes. The placement of that quote, obviously we know it's not said by Ron Perlman, but it's said. Do we want to say who the character was that says it, or do we just do we just want to leave it for those who haven't watched the show yet to just kind of leave it a little open to have them experience it?
Let's cover it because I have forgot who actually said it now. I remember hearing it, but I don't remember who said it anymore.
It is Walton Goggins' wife. She's having the big meeting with Vault-Tec, with Robco, with Mr.
Oh, that's right.
They're discussing the future of to get China to drop the bombs. They were planning the future, and she says, war never changes.
I had forgot she said that, man. I remembered hearing the quote, but I forgot she was the one that said it.
Yeah, it was. So, what's your opinion? Like the placement of it, who said it, obviously the scenario, what was going on. Do you think it made up for it?
It was a good use, and having that quote in there is definitely fan service because it's so iconic for the series. But yeah, it is appropriate.
It is. So
I will still die on the hill that they should have had Ron Perlman, but they still did a really great job.
Well,
I just like to be an asshole.
Sure, I get. But let's not ignore the season 2 is guaranteed, and I think they are filming it as we speak, or at least they're in the pre-production of season 2. So I think it should be coming out next year. Who knows? But Ron Perlman could make an appearance. Who knows?
That would be awesome if he made it a cameo in there somewhere. That would be my personal fan service.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone working on the Fallout TV show for season 2, if you get Ron Perlman in there, I will deeply appreciate it. Even if he doesn't say the line, I just want to hear his voice.
Just as a background,
deep dulcet tones.
Just as a background character, even if it's something along those lines, or even if you want to take the same context, but just something like drugs never change. Something along those. It's just a funny Easter egg reference to go with that line, but it has nothing to do with war. I think they would nail it. But
because there are a bunch of things, come to think of it, there are a bunch of things from just the world at large that they haven't worked into the show yet. Because we never saw a super mutant.
Correct.
The most iconic monster, the Death Claws, while they may have been teased, they did not appear anywhere in the show.
No.
So think about how much he sold Hellboy in a red suit. Just pitching here. Let's Hulk out Ron Perlman and make him a super mutant.
I would love it. That would be fantastic if he was a super mutant. And New Vegas is a prime spot for super mutants, as well as a special version of them called the Nightkin, which are cloaking super mutants. And then there in the quarry, there's a specific quarry in the New Vegas where it has a very iconic Deathclaw. I think that would be a great way to introduce them.
That could be neat. Yeah, I really am looking forward to the next season.
I am too.
And I don't know if anything actually came of it, but I know right after season 1 had finished dropping, Aaron Paul, do you know who that is?
I do. Jesse Pinkman.
All right, Aaron Paul. Yep, Jesse Pinkman of Breaking Bad fame. I know that he has gone on record saying he wants in for season 2, and I would love to see him just in the Fallout setting.
One of my predictions I think they're going to be doing is Matthew Perry was a huge fan of the Fallout series, and he actually was the main antagonist for New Vegas. So I think even though he passed away, I still think they're going to throw him in some sort of cameo, whereas it could be like a tombstone, or I know for a fact they're going to throw Matthew Perry in there somehow, in some way.
Some kind of nod to him or
absolutely. Something. But if we want to turn a little bit, what was your opinion on the visuals? Do you think that they got the world of Fallout exactly like you imagined it?
For the Bethesda era of Fallout, they nailed it. And of course, this is a Bethesda production, and I'm not holding anything against the show for not sticking to specifically Fallout 1. That's the one I've got the most experience with, and I know that it was the most self-serious game of the entire franchise. But I do love the aesthetics of the new games. I just don't like their open world. They nailed the aesthetic, and they did a lot more practical than I was expecting them to do.
It was wonderful knowing that you see the actual power armor. I think the T60 power armor that you see in the specifically like Fallout 4. When you learn that those are practical and they weigh, I think they weigh like 60 pounds. It's one of those things that's like it. I won't say it brought a tear to my eye, but it just made me so happy that they're trying to make this feel as real as possible and don't just try to make everything all CG. I mean, yes, there are some things that it's unavoidable, but it's just amazing that so much of it was practical.
Yeah, and anytime you're doing something like this, like practical is always going to be better.
Yes.
Because a decade from now, CG is going to be better, and you just dated everything about your product. And while doing shit practical, yeah, you might be able to see the seams if they cheaped out on something. But something that is physically there and is interactable is always going to age better in my eyes than something CG.
Absolutely.
CG should supplement a scene, not be the focus of it like so many movies are nowadays.
Correct. Like CG should just be there to maybe enhance the visuals, but we'll take a Mad Max Fury Road for example. A lot of that was practical. I think like 90% of that movie was filmed practical, and they just used CG to kind of just enhance the visuals. So, and that's what they went with the Fallout show, and they nailed it. You could definitely, yes, maybe the colors are more brighter, but that's just what we want, because when it's all said and done, Fallout, even though you are in a post-apocalyptic world, you are in some areas which are quite colorful. They are bright with the visuals, and they did the same thing with the show.
And I know that, some of that stuff, it's not practical from a production standpoint to try and do everything physical. I'm not going to hold that shit against them. Like, you're going to have to tell me. I know you're the lore expert here. The Rad Bear, what's it actually called in universe?
I think it is pronounced Yaogwai.
Yaogwai. All right. I never expected that to be done practically. Although it would be hilarious to see a bear in zombie makeup to make it look like irradiated. Stuff like that. I don't blame them for not doing the practical and having to CG it or the gulper. Yeah. But the fact that they had so much of that stuff practical, that was what I really appreciated.
And a lot of these areas are proper sets. Like when you're inside the vault, that was a built set. The Super Duper Mart, that was a built set. So this is what I was talking about earlier. I don't know if I fully answered your question of what was my opinion on the when I found out that they were making a Fallout show. I was very optimistic because it seemed they were doing the proper care. You could definitely see that they were throwing a lot of love to try to make this as authentic as possible. But definitely you could see how fun it was. I guarantee behind all the scenes, everyone was just laughing because they were having so much fun.
You could definitely tell they were having a blast with it. Now, I'm going to tell you one of the things that really stood out to me just watching the show. And one of my favorite things, and this is just my favorite sort of thing to look for in any movie or TV show, I listen for the needle drops. When you have the scene start, and then they play the perfect music for something. And I have to say, Fallout has some of the best needle drops I have seen or heard since Magic Mike XL. And just for context, because I feel like I need to defend this statement.
Please.
There is a scene in Magic Mike XL where a character, his name is Big Dick Richie, is sent into a convenience store to use his mighty stripping powers to put a smile on the face of the woman behind the counter. She's very bored looking. She's playing on her phone. And as he walks in, he's trying to figure out what as hell is he going to do. The radio so it's in universe, starts playing a Backstreet Boys song. And it's one of those moments of serendipity. Because it's out, I want it that way. And it starts playing this song, and Big Dick Richie starts doing his thing. Rips open his shirt, he takes a bag of Cheetos, rips it open, dumps a bottle of water all over himself, and he's doing his, strip tease thing. And this woman is standing behind the counter, like mouth agape, staring at him, like, what the hell is going on right now? And then after he does all that and the song's hitting its just musical climax, he comes up and goes, how much for the water and the Cheetos? And then you just see the biggest smile crack across this woman's face. I watched that scene. I died laughing because it was such a perfect moment and the song made it. I liked it so much that I sent it to my very, very religious mother and said, do not judge me, watch this scene. And she's like, Dane, you're not right, but that was hilarious. Second to that scene, the greatest needle drop of all time, this show has some of the best musical choices. And while it is kind of the same trick, we have a moment of very big destruction or violence with this 70s style radio playing in the background, it works every time. And I love it every time that they pull it.
Those who aren't familiar with it, Fallout, its visuals try to focus on the 40s and 50s America, but they focus on nuclear fission power. They don't use like fossil fuels such as coal or anything like that. So, but it keeps that aesthetic from the 1940s all the way until the bombs drop in 2077, and the music never changes. It's still that same era. So you're getting Billie Holiday. You're getting the one thing they changed with this with the show is they threw in some Johnny Cash, which I'm all for that. Johnny Cash is great.
Yeah.
But they try to keep that like the 50s swing music. So
yeah, the kind of swing thing in the big band era.
Yeah. And so they brought that over into the TV show, and these are the kinds of what the most iconic. One of the most iconic songs is "Crawl Out Through the Fallout." So it's
just every time it played one of those songs, and it just made me smile. And they used it perfectly every time, even if it was the same trick on repeat. It really works. And I think I keep saying 70s music when I'm meaning 40s and 50s. So apologies for that. But yeah, I want a copy of just the soundtrack as a playlist. Because it's just fun.
I guarantee there's a actual physical. There must be vinyls, or at the very least, there must be CDs.
There should be if there isn't already.
Because I see these soundtracks all the time on YouTube. All the songs that you recognize from the games are in these soundtracks, and the songs from these games are in the TV show. So this is again what I was talking about. Just they threw in so much love. They knew what they were doing.
They really did, and just overall, you can really tell that the people who are making this love the setting, they love the world. And I think, surprisingly enough, they did the best job of capturing some of the experiences of playing a video game, specifically this type of video game, and having these characters go through it.
Absolutely.
Like having that moral good character who always makes the good decision with Lucy, having the murder hobo who's just in it for the love of the game with the goal, that moment of running into an area that you were horrendously under-leveled for, like Knight Titus did when he ran away from the Yao Guai. Yep. Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. And Titus just standing there watching it like,
Mac,
you fucking scrub.
Well, it's funny because Titus, he was mortally injured, and he's asking Maximus, give me a stim pack, and stim pack in the game is just like the all end heals all wounds, and Maximus is just like, no, I'm gonna let you die, and I'm gonna steal your armor. So we actually get a few minutes. Next scene, we see Maximus just running around in power armor, having the time of his life. And we all have to imagine we would be doing the same exact thing, given the same scenario.
Yeah, probably. But having those little just vignettes of things, what it's like playing these games, especially if you're someone who really likes them, seeing that going through with the character stories in a natural way that doesn't feel forced. That is one of the things that this did special. So I think that Fallout is probably the best video game adaptation that I've seen, because they actually took the things that make the games good and managed to translate that instead of just slapping the iconography up there and doing a paint by number story.
Yeah, it's your typical, oh, it's a post-apocalyptic world surrounded by zombies, and they could have easily made this like a zombie land or something similar in that vein, but no, they actually wanted to make it focus on the games that we've played for so long.
And they did play into the tropes of Bethesda Fallout.
Sure.
A character leaving the vault after a family member. That is a big theme in Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. Mm-hmm. They carried that in there. So it's using the tropes, but it's using them properly.
Absolutely. Yeah, everything that you see in the show, it's nothing out of the ordinary that we would not have seen from the games. I think something that probably would have been fantastic, if for no reason at all, if one of the characters would have just bugged through the floor or something, just to be like, oh, this really is a Bethesda world, a Bethesda game.
Yeah, if Lucy had walked out of the vault and suddenly, no-clipped 50 miles in the sky and fell to her death.
Well, she would have been squashed. But if they would have done that with, say, maybe Maximus when he was in power armor, that would have been fantastic. It's just to really give it that authentic feel.
Damn, I didn't even think about that. That's a good one.
Something they could do in Season 2.
Oh, yeah, just a fun, classic Bethesda bug to throw in there.
I mean, what else could they do? I mean, it's hard to say what improvements they can do apart from the obvious super mutant and death claws in Season 2. Apart from that, it's hard to think of what they can improve on, just because I think they nailed it almost 100. Do I want to say 100%, or are there a few things where are there enough issues with the show prevent it from being completely perfect? Because I know if anyone listening to your episodes in Steam Machine, nothing is perfect to you. There's always room for improvement. So I guess let me ask you this: what is something they can improve on apart from the obvious? Something that in Season 1 or something they could do in Season 2 that was missing in 1.
I guess I'd have to say, trying to articulate it. So it's a solid story. It doesn't do anything that you wouldn't expect from a Fallout game.
Yeah.
It fits within that universe. It fits within those games. But because of that, it's not doing anything fantastic. There weren't really any moments within the series. There wasn't any twist that I couldn't see coming.
Sure.
So, I wasn't surprised, spoilers, when turns out Lucy's dad, who was the overseer, turns out to be the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't surprised when you find out the ghoul, it's the same guy that we were following before the bombs dropped. Not that they went through a lot of trouble to hide that, but it kind of presented it like a reveal in a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you find out Vault Tech is planning on making sure the bombs drop to fabricate the apocalypse that they're selling the solution. None of the things they did were really surprising. I want them to do something in Season 2 that I don't see coming.
Something that's not Fallout.
That's what I would really like. Well, yeah, because Fallout's never really something super surprising. But you go back to Fallout 1.
Mm-hmm.
The way that you beat the Master by talking your way out of it, you investigate, you find out that the super mutants, while they are superior in X, Y, and Z different ways, they're inherently sterile. They can't reproduce. Mm-hmm. And the Master's big plan is to turn all of humankind kind into super mutants because he's decided that's better for us.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do this groundwork and then be able to persuade him to listen to you so that you can tell him this. And once you make him see the flaw in his plan, that is when he just kind of self-terminates. That's how you talk your way out at the end of Fallout. That's a good twist, to be able to have that type of ending instead of just going down guns a-blazing.
Mm-hmm.
I would love for them to do something that still fits within the world that isn't super predictable. Like have an actual twist that when you look back, you go, I should have known, but isn't super predictable. That's the kind of thing I would like to see. They've proven that they can tell a story within this universe, make it feel like the games. They've had the fan servicey stuff in season 1. And while I would love to see a few more nods, because there are more things that they can make nods to, those little Easter eggs are always going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to go, okay, let's run with it. And not let the studio's normal approach of, okay, let's get that, answer a question at the first of the episode full of filler, end on a cliffhanger, and make them come back for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Pattern that you see in so many long-running shows. Don't keep it going forever. Have an end point for the story that you're wanting to tell with this TV series, and don't be super predictable with it. That's the things that I would like to see out of the rest of the series going forward.
Well, for you said there are a lot of twists. It's like you kind of saw coming. I guess I was so into it, or the fact that I was actually able to shut off my brain, where a lot of things that were happening, I guess I wasn't prepared for. I mean, can I assume that Hank, that was Lucy's father, was he behind this all along? Looking back on it, yes, I should have known that. I mean, it was pretty obvious, and Moldaver was the one who's actually trying to bring some civilization, I suppose, to the wasteland. But was I predicting Cooper's wife to be behind this all along? No, I was actually I was pretty shocked. That twist got me pretty good. What else?
Do you want to know why that one didn't surprise me?
Because they were putting too much focus on her.
Cooper's wife. The way the two interacted. The reason that did not surprise me in the least. Cooper is very, very just, you can tell he loves his wife. Mm-hmm. The sun rises and sets in her. And every time the man's around her, he can't keep his hands to himself. But every time she kind of has this, yeah, that's nice, sort of reaction to it.
Yeah.
You can tell there's definitely an imbalance. And whenever he is doing the Vault Tech stuff with her, everyone's thanking her for her connections to bring him in. They're not like, we're so appreciative that you're doing this for your wife. They're like, no, it's, we're so glad that she has connections with, you, that she could bring you on board with this. Like it's a business relationship on her side.
Yeah. Those
scenes, I was like, this bitch gonna do something evil. So whenever she says the thing about dropping the bombs, like, not a bit surprised.
I mean,
so that was why that one gave it away to me.
I suppose you're right. You could definitely tell there was something. I guess I just never inferred it that she went that deep. I guess she was...
And it might just be a difference in the way I watch things.
It maybe. I mean, like I said, I try to shut my brain off. I try to put myself into it without thinking too much, at least on the first watch through. If I were to watch Fallout now, do another binge run of it, I would definitely be more analytical behind it and try to catch all the little things of like, oh, okay, that is a dead ringer of what's going to how the this season ends out. Everything just, I guess I would catch all the clues, but maybe it's just because I was just so excited to watch this show for the first time. I was like, I'm in. Just give it to me. I'm ready. I want more.
I mean, we're not going to do the numerical grade, but just a simple. How strong would you recommend this, Jeff? I know that it's kind of obvious listening to it, but just for the record, how strong do you recommend this?
It is a strong recommendation. If I were to give this a grade of any kind, I'm just trying to think of all my little nitpicks and I've forgotten a lot of the stuff, so I need to watch it. But as of right now, I would definitely give this a strong A. I mean, the show is that incredible. The hard work and production they put behind it, all the care they can definitely see the characters are doing to make sure that how they're playing fits with the, I guess you could say, the special system, or like the attributes. Thank you. They're trying to focus on the attributes used in the Fallout games. You could definitely tell they're trying to throw like a little karma behind it, because that's something that the earlier Fallout games did. They tried to throw some like a karma scale in there. So you could definitely there was so much love and passion behind this project that it shows in this season. I'm very excited for season 2, so I would definitely give this a solid A.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the strength of my recommendation is based on solely the fact someone who is unfamiliar with the franchise and has no interest in video game whatsoever, my father, watched and loved the show. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you don't have to be a fan going in, that you can just watch it on its own merits, understand what's going on. You might notice, like, okay, they're obviously doing something that's a reference now, but not getting the reference does not change my enjoyment of the scene.
No, all the references.
And
go ahead.
And that in and of itself is something that Tim Kaine wanted in the original Fallout. Mm-hmm. He had no problem with them putting like jokes and references in the original Fallout, but his rule was, if someone doesn't get the reference, they shouldn't even realize one's being made, and it should not affect whether they enjoy the scene or not. And they did keep that. So if you don't get this joke from the games that they're referring to, or this piece of lore, or this piece of something, not knowing won't affect it. And you can still enjoy this thing on its own merits, and I think that's better than anything. So yeah, it's a really strong recommendation from me. And again, just to troll Willie, if I were to put a number on it out of 10, which we don't know, this is not a normal thing, I'm just being a troll here, I'd probably say it's a 9.5, mm-hmm. because there's no such thing as a perfect TV show.
I think when it's all said and done, that's what the show's greatest strength is. It's very welcoming for all people.
It's good. It's not perfect. It's not groundbreaking storytelling of itself, but I think it is the best example of translating a video game to another medium that we have seen thus far.
I think
because I don't think Last of Us should count, because they took a thing that was made to be a big serialized story and translated it to a serialized story. Fallout never wanted to be a TV show. It always wanted to be an immersive video game experience. Mm-hmm. And being able to take that sort of thing and take that immersive world and translate it well to film, that is honestly impressive to me.
I'm trying to think of another example of a video game, a media translating a video game well, and the only thing that's coming to mind right now is the Super Mario Brothers movie that came out last year, 2 years ago.
It was good because they did all of the things that you would want from Mario, mm-hmm. but I think the difference there is, and while it's really hard to not have experience with Mario Brothers, if you don't like Mario, you're not going to like that movie. Yeah. If you don't play Mario, there's not much incentive to watch that movie, besides Jack Black as being Bowser.
I'm not saying it's a great movie. It's good for what it is. I just think it's a good translation of bringing a video game to a different sort of media, because let's be honest, video games in the past, we like them just because of how terrible they are, but that's a subjective opinion. Objectively, they're terrible, and I am talking about the original Mario movie from '93 with Bob Hoskins. I am talking about Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter. These are terrible movies, objectively, but subjectively, we love them just because of how terrible they are.
I was going to say, I loved all of those movies. I unironically love the original Mortal Kombat. It is not a good movie, but it is a fun one.
Yes.
You are right. I would argue for best video game movie of all time, it stars Jake Gyllenhaal. Do you know what movie I'm talking about?
Hold on. You're going to say it. I'm going to punch myself in the face from not knowing it. Go ahead.
All right. The setup I was setting you up for was you were supposed to say Prince of Persia, Sands of Time movie.
I never saw it.
But that's not it. The real answer is Source Code. It's not based on a video game, but it captures the essence of a video game perfectly.
Okay.
You play the level, you fail, you start over with a new life until you get that perfect run.
I've never seen that. I didn't realize that's what that movie was about. I know it's sort of like a time loop repeating itself movie, like a Groundhog's Day or, was it Edge of Tomorrow? But I didn't realize that was actually the premise of it. It's not a video game, but it's based on that sort of, based on those rules.
It captures that feeling of trying to get that perfect run. So maybe we'll do that movie one day.
All right.
But it's a really good movie. So I still say that is the best video game movie, even though it's not based on any game.
Hey, I'm fine. We're doing an episode on it.
Just because I like coming up with arbitrary rules for shit.
I'm fine with watching it and doing an episode on it.
Well, man, we've been running for our hour to hour and a half podcast. We're almost 2 hours in, and we still got a quiz to do.
Well, let's knock out this quiz quickly.
So I made a promise, I made a vow that every episode of Dane and Jeff's Media Dump will always end with one of my ridiculous style quizzes, whether I'm the one making it or not. And tonight, for our Fallout quiz, I've prepared one for you with the help of our friends at Tadpog and the Steam Machine podcast called Fork Out for Fallout. So this quiz that I'm going to give you, I sent to them as a Google form about a month and a half ago. And of the 6 hosts in question, we got responses from 5 of them. And you're going to be playing against them.
All right.
So since you're just the one guy, you're going to be playing against their scores to see if you can beat, collectively, the men of Tadpog and the men of TSMP in a quiz about Fallout merchandise in the eBay game.
All right.
So, rules for the eBay game are simple. I found several items on eBay themed after Fallout merchandise.
Okay.
So, the way that we're going to play, it is not Price is Right rules. You're going to try and guess as close to the actual price as you can. It's okay if you go over. And I'm going to pull from Team Tadpog and Team TSMP 2 people for you to play against each round. And we're going to play 3 rounds. You're trying to get closer to the actual price than they did.
Okay.
If you get closer to that price than they did, you're going to get a cool 2 points. You'll get to know what one of them answered before you give an answer. If you need a little extra help, you can ask for what the other one does, but it's going to cost you a potential point.
Okay.
So you can get 2 points if you only hear one. If you're like, I don't know what the other person say, you lose a point. But if you guess it right on the money, you get 5 points, no question asked.
Okay.
So we'll do 3 rounds where you're playing against them, and then you'll do a 4th special round against the team champ from Tadpog and from TSMP, who got the most questions right from their team. Sound cool to you?
I am going to do terrible at this, but I am ready to give it a shot.
All right. So let me get my little note thing up here so I can keep track of who's done what. All right. And now begins the eBay game, Fork Out for Fallout. So, Jeffy Lube, your first item that you are bidding on, hold on, I got pictures for this I need to send you. Hold on.
I was going to say, I didn't know if I was supposed to pull that up. It's like, I might actually have all the answers, so I'll don't open it.
Yeah, I'm not going to give them information that you don't get to have, so here, I'm sending you a link. You can open this up, and you'll be able to follow along. There are 5 questions in this. We're only going to cover 4 of them.
Oh, okay.
So, we're going to start on number 2. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I will be editing the pictures from these into the video so that you can see what we're talking about, but we will describe the stuff as we go along. So, For question number 1, we have the Fallout 2, 3, 4, 5, 76 New Vegas rare empty collectible bottle. From the description, as posted by the seller, good condition. The label shows some wear. Little damages. Rest of the condition as on the pictures. It is from 2015 or 2016. The expiry date was 2016. This doesn't matter. The bottle is empty. It is a beer bottle called Fallout Beer with a plain bottle cap sitting next to it. They did not keep it and put it in savings. You are getting this as well. So my question for you, Jeff, what do you think the price for the Fallout 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6 New Vegas rare empty bottle is? This round you're going to be playing against from Team Tadpog, Dave, and from Team TSMP, Nate.
Well, Dane.
And
go ahead.
Well, before you give the answer, you do get a little bit of information. I can tell you, Dave thought that this bottle was worth $70.
$70 seems like... I get it. This is a novelty for... But it's just a beer bottle, an empty beer bottle. I was actually, I know, I'm not saying it's going to be cheap, like $5. I'm still thinking it's going to be, I would narrow it down to say $47.
$47?
Yes.
All right. So, the full answers were, Dave guessed it was 70. Nate thought it was worth 20.
Mm-hmm.
The actual asking price for this collectible bottle on eBay at the time that I pulled this information was $161.99.
Good God.
So that puts Team Tadpog at 1 point straight out of the gate. Because Dave was closer, even though he was still off by $92.
I guess I got to get that into my mindset now that this is eBay, right? So obviously everyone's going to be overcharging everything.
The internet is insane. Never forget, the internet is insane.
I'll start remembering that for the next round.
So, for our next item, Jeff, you are bidding on the Fallout 4 Bethesda promo pack of napkins. Napkin from Gamescom 2015, Xbox One, PS4. From the description, new and sealed pack of napkins. The pictures of the open one is just to show how they look like. So it's new and sealed, but he opened one to show what it looks like. Extremely rare collectible, Fallout 4, Bethesda promo pack of napkins, napkin from Gamescom. So he just repeated the title. So, for those who are listening purely audio, it is a pack of blue napkins with the Fallout 4 logo on it. It does not say how many napkins are in this pack.
All right.
And I can tell you, this round you were playing against Dalton and Willie. Or not Dalton and Willie. I'm pulling that wrong. Dalton and Tyler.
Well... Based on the last round, and this is a extremely rare, new and sealed on eBay, I am going to say $220.
Now, I forgot to give you one of their prices. I can tell you right now, without hurting your points, Dalton thinks it's $45. Does that change your answer? It's okay. You can change it now. You're not locked in yet.
I'll still say the same answer just because... I'm still gonna say 220.
220. All right. So Dalton thought it was 45. Tyler thought it was 25. The actual asking price for the promotional napkins from Gamescom 2015 was $80.99.
Really?
Yep. Which puts Dalton at being the closest. So TSMP 1, Tadpog 1. Jeff, you're still at 0, man. But if you get the next one, you're already going to be in the lead because you get 2 cool points if you don't take the cheat.
All right, I'm ready.
Now, this one is the one that made me want to do nothing but Fallout merchandise for this quiz.
All right.
It is the Fallout 4 76 New Vegas Very Rare Bandana PS4 Xbox One. There was no description for this item because the seller has no justification for what he has done. All this item is a red paisley bandana with a small square of cloth sewn in the corner that says Fallout on it. About 1 inch wide on this bandana.
So it's just a normal bandana that he just
it's just a bandana
that he sewed Fallout on it. So,
Now, this time, you were playing against Silent Ian and Willie. And I can tell you, Willie from TSMP thought that this bandana was worth $45.
based on the fact that this is just literally a crappy bandana that he sewed Fallout on it, and I have to assume it's been heavily used, but the fact that the internet is still crazy. You said Willie, $45.
Willie thought it was $45.
I am going to say $38.
$38? All right. So, Willie called 45. Ian called 0 because he didn't get back to me when I was taking the quizzes.
Whap, whap.
We always say at Tadpog, Tyler and Dave, the Ian is silent. He stayed true in that.
He was silent.
The actual asking price for the Fallout 4 76 New Vegas very rare bandana PS4 Xbox One was $62.91.
I'm not surprised.
Which means Willie was closer, putting TSMP at 2. But for a bandana.
$62 for a shitty bandana that he just sewed Fallout on.
Yes.
And we will definitely post pictures of this. It literally is a normal bandana with a... You said it correctly. It is a inch long little thing in the corner that just says Fallout.
That's all it is.
I think...
but...
I was just going to say, I think what this test has proven that the internet has made people dangerous.
But we have reached the final round, so it might feel like you're out of the running. You're not. The only difference in the final round, you don't get any hints. So if you get the closest, you get 2 points and you tie with TSMP. If you get this exact, you win clean with 5. So in the event that we have a tie, we have 5 questions. I do have a tiebreaker, but this is the pinnacle item on the list.
All right.
What we have is the Fallout 76 Collector's Edition T-51B Power Armor Helmet and Bag, not working. From the description, sold from my private collection, so buy with confidence from a U.S. seller. The helmet is in terrific condition, having lived its life on the helmet rack, but the electronics don't work anymore, which is a known issue with these helmets. Can still be used as a cosplay piece or mounted as a helmet for display. The bag has no damage. For more video game collectibles, check out my eBay store. This helmet is a must-have for any fan of the Fallout video game series. It is designed with a glossy, ergonomic, and padded feature to provide maximum comfort. It is a unit-type helmet, comes with a voice, not working. The helmet is manufactured by Bethesda in 2018 and is part of the Fallout 76 product line. It is a classic and iconic design. This helmet is perfect for cosplay or display. The helmet is a single unit quality. It is custom bundled with no additional features. Manufacturer warranty is none. The country region of manufacture is unknown. The Fallout 76 Collector's Edition T-51B Power Armor Helmet is a great addition to any collection and sure to impress. And the picture is, just as described, a scale replica of the Power Armor T-51B helmet on a mounting rack, and there is supposedly a bag that comes with it, not pictures.
Yes.
So Jeff, without any help from the others, you were playing against Tyler, who was the champion for Team Tadpog, and Dalton, who was the champion for Team TSMP. How much do you think is the asking price for this helmet on eBay?
So I'm assuming that this is was this a rare item? Or that's a hint. I'm sorry. Based on my logic, I'll say this was a rare collectible that's in great condition, minus the fact that the voice doesn't work, or none of the electronics, with a bag that's also in great condition. And it is life-size, so you can wear it. I am going to say that this is, despite its problems, $275.
$275?
Yes.
Okay. So now that your answer's locked in, $275, final answer, right?
Final answer.
Final answer. Tadpog team champion Tyler thought it was $450.
All right.
TSMP champion Dalton thought it was $850. Are you still feeling confident right now, Jeff?
I'm going to say that this person still has some sense because, he states the warranty is none. There is problems with this helmet, even though you can still wear it and it's comfortable with a good condition bag. I'm still going to say $275.
Actual asking price on eBay for the Fallout 76 collector's helmet was $219.99. Jeff, you are on the board and you have tied Dalton.
Yes!
On Team TSMP. So we have to go to the tiebreaker question. So if you'll scroll back up to question 1 on your screen. For the tiebreaker, and since you're tied with TSMP, you're only playing against TSMP, and randomly, you're going to be playing against Nate. So you're not going to get his answer.
Okay.
It's just going to be whether you or Nate got closer on this one to determine the tie. So the item is the Fallout 76 Nuka-Cola Bundle Box Merchandise Set Official Limited Edition Rare. You might have noticed rare is a common thing that pops up in this stuff.
Of course.
From the description, condition, very good, never been opened, no visible damages, everything shown in pictures including potential damages. We do not accept returns. Photos were taken by us, so what is shown is exactly what you get. If you have any questions, feel free to message us at any time. Thank you. So we have some Nuka-Cola merchandise. There is a water bottle with the Nuka-Cola branding on the side, a bottle opener in a pack with a picture of a pinup model by a bottle of Nuka-Cola, a giant Nuka-Cola bottle cap that you can hang on your wall, a small, I can't tell if it's a pin or a magnet, but it's a shape of a Nuka-Cola bottle, a pack of Nuka-Cola matches with Fallout 76 branding on it, and a in-universe aged box that all of this stuff comes in, featuring the Nuka-Cola logo in the background. So that's what we're talking about right here. So for all of these items together in a single lot, what do you think the asking price on eBay is?
Well, thank you for letting me know that's giant bottle cap, because my first initial thought was that was a whoopee cushion.
It does look like a whoopee cushion.
But all right, so looks like all these products are in good condition. I mean, the cap is still in bubble wrap. A lot of the stuff is in good condition, apart from the box, which it all sits in, which it looks faded and worn. Let's see, based on very good condition. We do not accept returns. I think that is a key thing. I am going to say that this person is a prick. And I'm going to say that this is $310.
310.
I think the guy is that big of a prick. He's going to charge something very stupid.
All right, $310. I can tell you, Nate apparently agreed with your assessment, but thought him to be a much bigger one, because Nate's guess was $645. So, with Nate acting on behalf of breaking the tie at $645, and you, Jeff, playing for us, hoping you can't make me proud, at $310. Actual price for the Nuka-Cola merchandise bundle box, official limited edition rare, $199.99. Jeff, you have won. So all of our runners-up, you will get copies of the home game, which you already have. And Jeff, you get eternal bragging rights.
Yes!
For setting it straight, being a badass, and doing us proud. Episode 1, your first time at one of my games. How you feel?
I feel very good, Dane. I just want to thank God and my mom for giving me birth. No, this was a lot of fun, and this is. I stand by my assessment that the internet has made people very dangerous.
So the way I made all this stuff, I went on eBay, I searched Fallout merchandise, and I sorted highest price first, and then looked for things that were just not the game. So, and just to set the record straight, because I have done a lot of these games, the eBay game is based off of a game that I took from Flip the Table, a podcast about crappy licensed party games. They quit running, I think, in 2016. All their games, in my opinion, are kind of up for grabs. They never kind of did any exclusivity stuff with it. All of them were great guys. It's a great show that still holds up. If y'all ever have a chance, I want to mention that. because a bunch of my stuff is inspired by theirs, and they took inspiration from a bunch of other people, so I'm just kind of passing it forward the way that they passed forward from other podcasts that they listen to. And I think that's our first episode. Did you have anything else you wanted to
I
do?
have but one question for you. It's just
I got a question.
You get a question now. So, the last episode of the TV show, we see Hank, Lucy's father, enter a specific number into the computer. We see this number on screen. Do you recall what the number is? This is just the first part. If you don't remember it, I'll remind you.
I would like to say I have a photographic memory and I have perfect knowledge of it, but just for the record, for everyone listening at home, what was that number again, Jeff?
10, 10, 97.
Okay.
What is the significance in terms of Fallout is that number? Or let me make it, that was a horrible way to phrase it. What is that number referring to?
Well, I mean, it's obvious. 10/10/97 would be October 10th, 1997, the release of the original Fallout.
That is correct.
Wow, I bullshitted my way into a correct answer on that.
But yeah, no, that was the only question. That was the one. When I saw it, I'm just like, that is a specific number. Let me just double check to make sure. Yes, I was right.
Yeah, I didn't even pay attention to the number that he punched in. But yeah, that was a pure guess on my part based on the 97. I'm like, I think Fallout came out in 1997, so let's do a bluff roll. And I passed.
You passed. But as you stated, that is the first episode, and because the Fallout was a mutual choice between both of us, we both wanted to talk about this. You get first pick of episode 2. You get to decide the topic. So Dane, what did you want to talk about?
I went through a lot of different ideas on this. I thought long and hard. Like, what old 80s movies do I like? What new Western movies do I like? What am I in the mood to do? And I got to thinking, this show is about Dane and Jeff. I'm like, what is something that surprisingly we have a mutual love for? You have a long-standing one and I have a newfound love for it. And at that point, the answer was obvious. So for episode 2, 2 weeks from now, well, from when you're listening to this, we're going to be covering Red Dead Redemption 1 for the PlayStation 2, talking about Grand Theft Horse and all of its glory. How I finally came around to it this year playing Backlog Golf, and how Jeff has always loved this game since it first came out. I think you and this game go a long ways back, right, Jeff?
I played this game, I think probably back in 2011, 2012. That was the first time I played it. I played it shortly after I played Grand Theft Auto 4, and I absolutely loved it. For the longest time, it was my number one favorite game. Obviously, time has changed, and my list has altered, and Red Dead 2 has come out since then, and has taken a spot on my list. But that does not take away from the fact that Red Dead 1 is a terrific game, and I am very excited to talk about it. It should be a lot of fun.
And of course, if anyone wants to hear you gushing about Red Dead 2, weren't you on the Red Dead 2 episode for TSMP?
Yes, I was, but that was a spoiler-free episode because at the time, Nate and Willie had not finished it. I think, actually, I don't recall if Dalton had finished it. I know he put in a lot of hours into it, but we tried to focus mostly on like the environments, the gameplay and such, all that, and left the story out of it. So in this episode, or I think I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to talk about the story. I'm just going to talk about everything else, like the improvements between the two games. But story-wise, I'm going to leave that for when I return to TSMP.
Well, when we get into it next week, we'll be talking about Red Dead 1, and I'm going to have a canned thing for housekeeping, but a couple of things I do want to do, this being the first episode. I do want to do a special thanks to Dalton over at Steam Machine. He gave me a lot of advice on editing and some stuff that I'm going to be doing when I put this podcast together. And not only that, he was gracious enough to give us use of some of his music for our theme song that you got to hear that earlier, and you're going to be hearing that here in a minute on the outro. And it's Phoenix Down, Nile The Nightmare. We're always going to have links for his stuff, and go check him out. Greatly appreciate it. Thanks again, Dalton. And Jeff, dude, we're finally doing it.
We're finally doing it.
You feeling good about it?
I'm feeling very good about this. This is going to be a fun adventure, and I'm just going to love watching this show evolve.
10 seasons in a movie. Right?
Absolutely.
Oh, well, Jeff, it's been fun. Dude, you take it easy. Listeners, thank you so much. Thanks for bearing with us. Oh, we will get more concise and stay more on point as we get better at this. And
we'll definitely try to get the tech issues resolved as the show progresses.
And something else to keep in mind, we do have a question section on the Discord channel. We didn't do any questions tonight. We wanted to just kind of get everything filled out and everything here. So we will be doing questions starting next episode from the listeners. Sorry we didn't get to that tonight, but I think it's a good one. So only thing left to do is say good night, Jeff.
Good night. And before one final good night, let's shout out for Tadpog, Tyler and Dave Play Old Games, the Steam Machine Podcast with Dalton, Willie, Nate. Also, don't forget to check out his podcast, the JRPG Report, where him and our friend Team Retrog, aka Mikolov, talk about all sorts of JRPG news. But apart from that, Dane, it's been a pleasure, sir. I'll look forward to next episode, and you keep kicking ass, buddy.
Always. Kicking names, taking ass. Everybody have a good night. Appreciate you.